We are live.
Good evening and welcome to a special council meeting tonight, Wednesday, December 10th. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councillor Samwell.
Here.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Here.
Councillor McCreary.
Here.
Councillor Sullivan.
Here and present.
Councillor Caputo.
Present.
And Councillor Sokoli's here. Through the chair, roll call's been taken.
Thank you. Members of council, are there any conflicts of pecuniary interest to declare on items appearing on tonight's agenda? Not seeing any? Oh, Councillor Hunt?
No, not a conflict. Just confirming the clerk recognizes my attendance.
Through the chair, so noted.
There are no presentations or delegations on this evening's agenda. Members of council, are there any items for consideration you would like to separate for discussion purposes? Councillor Van Tilburg.
Yeah, I'd like to separate basically every item within the estimates, all of them, all the items. Yes, 4.1, 4.2.
Okay. Do you want the minutes separated too?
Yes.
All right. Councillor Sullivan, can you please move the motion to approve all items for consideration consent 4.1, 4.2 that are not separated?
Certainly, once it comes up on the screen.
State your seconder, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Sokoli, that all items contained within the estimates report, items 4.1 to 4.2, not separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
Are there any titles to read?
Through the chair, I just want to confirm what's being separated because there's 4 items that can be separated tonight. So it's 4.11, 4.12, 4.21, 4.22.
Yeah.
Just to confirm with Councillor Van Tilburg, you want all those separated?
Yes, that allows for discussion. If it moves around, then they're all available for us. So yes.
So through the chair, I don't have to read anything because everything's separated.
Okay, Councillor Sokoli, can you please read the motion to place all separated items for consideration not previously voted on the floor and state your seconder?
Sure, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sullivan, that all items contained within the estimates reports that have been separated for discussion purposes be approved.
Okay, so let's move on to 4.11 city budget priorities. Councillor Van Tilburg.
Just separate it and give everybody an opportunity if they had something to speak towards. I'm supportive and willing to vote on it.
Can you repeat that, Councillor, please?
If no one else wishes to speak to it, then we can vote on it. Like I said, with the mayor being out of the room and coming, it was nice to separate everything just in case as a safeguard versus moving forward.
Okay, we'll take the vote on 4.11.
Through the chair, we're just waiting for Councillor Carpenter's vote. Item 4.11 carries unanimously on a recorded vote. Members of council voting in favor as follows. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
Okay, well, discussion on 4.12. Councillor Van Tilburg.
Yeah, I just got a few questions here on some of the stuff that's been pre-passed. The Veterans Memorial Parkway, it's $2.8 million for an EA. Was that pushed through from staff, and have we done an EA in the past there? And my question is follows the fact that sometimes we do EAs to come up with the obvious results from the EA in that there is a set of train tracks on the other side of the bridge that bottlenecks traffic. So I just want some clarification on the Veterans Memorial EA.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Elliott, Director of Engineering Services. Through the chair to you, Councillor Van Tilborg, do you know the line item of that? Like, I'm just trying to make sure the dollar value.
00076. Engineering Services 00076, $2.8 million. Veterans Memorial Parkway, Mount Pleasant to Market Street South with bridge.
Does anybody have the reference number? Because that does not help me. I do give you my apologies. Just trying to find the dollar value and the year because that EA is currently ongoing. Like we have put out the RFP for the consultant. Because it is a widening,
Yep.
Because it is a widening of a road, it is required to follow a municipal class EA process. We're regulated to do that. So we do have to do an EA in which we'll show various options, do nothing, widen, whether or not it's for a divided road or a combined road, but this is what we are regulated to do.
Okay, I just wanted to know, so we haven't actually received the EA yet, is that? You said it's ongoing, we haven't received it yet?
Correct. Through
But
the
it has
chair,
been- it
through
has
the
been
chair to
started.
you, it was pulled forward, I believe 2 years ago. It was pulled forward in the budget process to begin the EA. So at that point in time, I had advised kind of what staff, their workload was at that time. So we have started. We did do the RFP. We did put it out to the public. We did get multiple consultants apply. We evaluated it up until yesterday, I think was the last evaluation date. And so we're in the process of awarding the consultant so that we can begin the EA.
I hope the audience is watching. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor McCreary?
Don't go away, Jennifer. Chair, through you to staff. We had this discussion before. We're going to be spending $520,000 this year for the engineering on Grandview. Oh, it's sorry. It's project 2345.
My apologies. We're set up by reference number, not the project ID number. So it's more difficult for me to reference that. So Grandview, that's the street from West Street up to Sydenham. Yes, I believe that is in the budget to begin design, do the pre-design and design work for Grandview. I believe, if I can remember correctly, the construction is set out for 2 years from now.
2 years from now, your memory is superb. We're for every $20 we spend building the road, we spend $5 designing it. Is there a way that we could do that in-house? Not for this project, of course, but is there a way that we could acquire our own engineering capacity to design and save ourselves a few dollars?
Yep. Through the chair to you, Councillor. So we do have engineers and we do have design technologists in-house. So the goal is for us to do this in-house. It's only once capacity over exceeds our 3 technologists and 1 engineer that we do go out to try to get consultants to assist. But the prime goal is for in-house design. And yes, the average is it's approximately 10 to 20% of the construction cost is what we hold for design fees.
Would there be merit in conducting an exercise to see how we could create a greater capacity in-house to do all the design work, Jennifer?
Yep, through the chair to you, Councillor. So yes, we do that. We just have to work through, there's been some some backlog during COVID and the pandemic. So we're trying to ride that wave and try to figure out which staff we can bring in. We have brought in quite a bit of design staff. Now we need to work on the bottleneck of our contract administration staff. So we are working through that. And then to try to facilitate the majority of the work in-house, which is always much less expensive than going outside.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're
And don't go away. We still have the Charing Cross Street extension on our roster of work to be done. That is in the final year of this budget, I guess 2030. And the reference number that you don't reference is 161.
Sorry. Yes.
So are we actually proceeding with this, or are we gonna keep kicking it down the roadway, do you think?
No, so through the chair to you, Counselor. So yes, it is in our transportation master plan, which has identified the need and has slotted it into the appropriate year that it would be required. But yes, there is an affordability issue through a lot of the work that we have to do. From the asset management plan report that I brought forward a few months back, it was identified in there that I would return before the 2028 budget with some additional funding potential.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Mayor Davis?
Well, thank you very much for filling in for me. Sorry I was a few minutes late. But I really didn't think I'd have to do anything. I think I would be sitting here this evening listening to the beehive of activity amongst the councillors, making resolutions and amendments, giving me direction what you want to see changed in the budget that by statute I'm required to present in January. So I thought what I might do is give council sort of a summary of where we're at. And I'll be looking for Joelle to correct me if I'm wrong, or Judy. But be mindful that tonight is the night where you can amend what's on the floor to request that I, the mayor, make whatever budget investments, enhancements, or deletions that you want in the budget that was presented to us by staff. So tonight's the night for you to do it. I mean, you get another opportunity after I present my budget in the new year. So I thought, just by summary, the city base budget provides for a 3.71% increase after assessment growth. So that's city doing a pretty darn good job. It's less than what it was estimated was going to be in the multi-year budget 2 years ago, just slightly less. If you then add in the transit enhancement, year 2 of a 3-year rollout of much needed enhancement of our transit system, that's almost a 1% increase. It's almost $2 million worth of investment. And that would bring the total tax increase to 4.66%. I think we agreed to that last year because we all recognize the importance of making substantial investments in our transit system to improve the transit system. Then there are a list of service enhancements such as Winterfest, Summerfest, snow clearing on trails, and that's a 0.21, so it's 0.2%. And that brings a total of 4.87%. Okay, so far so good. Am I correct so far? Yep, I'm getting nods of the head. And then we have the outside agencies that we have no control of here as a city council. And the requests there have been seems like this happens annually, very large increases. One of which is the library at an 18% increase. It's about $1 million. However, that's because it includes costs incurred in the opening of the first library branch in, I don't know, 50 years. Of course, that's in the southwest. So that's about $1 million. Then we have police. We know that their budget has yet to be finalized as they're going through contract negotiations. Hopefully that will be finalized before the end of the year. But as they presented to us, that was an increase of $4,800,000, a 7.26% increase in the police budget. Then we have the John Noble Home at $150,000, an 8% increase. We have public health as they presented it at $227,000, which is 6.9%. And then paramedics, which we previously had approved, which includes the continuation of an additional half ambulance and perhaps that going to one ambulance in September. And that's about $865,000. So those are very large increases. You can debate the merits of whether they're justified or not, but the reality is that we don't set those amounts. We are just simply asked to collect the taxes so that those agencies are properly funded. Anyways, when you add those into the mix, that's 7.92% tax increase in total. But let's remember, basic city, 3.71%. So if the other agencies were doing something similar to what the city's been doing and does historically, you would see an overall tax increase of less than 4%. But that's not the way it's worked out. So that's where we're at. Mike, do I have that? More nods of the head coming from our Treasury Department representatives. So that's where we're at. I don't think taxpayers are going to be dancing in the streets with a total 7.92%. Being mindful, city increase is 4%, less than 4%, 4.6 if you add in the transit investments. So that's where we're at. And I'm not a miracle worker. I can't wave a magic wand and create a 2% budget increase. And so it's going to have to be a team effort. And it starts tonight. And if you, as you went through the budget material, if there is something that you thought should be changed, you know, put it on the floor and tell us, because I'm totally open-minded. I need your help. And I realize it's a mayor's budget. That's the way the province has set it up. But as you know, we've created this hybrid budget system or budget approval system so that we all have significant input. And I sincerely look to that input and ask for it. And you may not have it tonight. It may come to you as we get into the final budget deliberations in January. But please don't just look at this as, it's the mayor's responsibility. It's a joint responsibility because the legislation does give you the ability to change it. So let's start tonight and see what everybody thinks. So that's the extent of what I'm going to say tonight, because it's not for me to talk about the budget tonight other than kind of giving you the summary. It's your chance, your first of two opportunities to make some change.
Councillor Carpenter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just the staff, the city's portion at 4.6% with the transit increase, is that after assessment or before assessment?
Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter, that is after assessment.
What would that increase be before assessment?
It is 6.32.
6.32%. And the reason I raised that to my colleagues is that the actual increase is 6.32% because the assessment increase is only attributed to the city's portion of the budget. So when they talk about the outside agency's portion of the budget, none of the assessments is attributed to that. So it's not apples and oranges. So just to be clear on the discussion that the outside agencies are the ones pushing the budget up, it's, they don't get to see any of the assessment attached to their increases. So I just wanted to be clear about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Yes, I just got a couple questions on Robert Moore Park, which is the relocation of it. Did we receive money from the 2/3 of the property of what was previous Robert Moore Park? And if so, has that been attributed to the move?
Through the chair to you, Counselor, I do not believe we received those funds yet as the sale has not been finalized.
Okay. As there's no sale, there's no change. Perhaps we may want to put a pause on this until there is a sale and there is change, and that can drop us some 1.2 million. That's something to consider. My other question here is on the Gilkinson ball diamond. Is that more than one ball diamond? It's $1.6 million. What comes with that ball diamond? I assume it's more than 3 bases and a, back catcher's area. So what's there? What comes with this? For that figure, people are asking me.
Through the chair to you, Counselor. So that is in conjunction with the Brooklyn Ball Diamond line item. So that is attributing to some of those ball diamonds that we need to recoup, in essence, that we lost from the Southwest Sports Complex because of the archaeological find. So we will be constructing next year 2 ball diamonds within the Brooklyn Park area where there's currently a soccer field. So there would be 2 ball diamonds in there. We are also we're going through some pre-design work to identify an area for the 3rd ball diamond, whether that be at the city's property on Gilkison in the vicinity of Dogford Park, or if it is elsewhere within Ward 1 or the city of Brantford.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, then I'd like to put forward a motion to defer the relocation of Robert Moore Park until there is such as a completed sale and we receive some income, and then can do the relocation in a cost-effective manner. Right now, we're looking at a very high budget, and this would take a significant portion off of it. $1 million is not chump change. It's a lot of money. So if we could do that, defer it till probably the next council that arrives, and we have a deal done, that would be, who knows, we may be even looking at this next year. So I think that's in recommend. Do I need a seconder to ask for it to be struck? Seeking a seconder.
Okay, Councillor Samuel seconded it. Okay. So the deferral is now on the floor for a time and place.
To that's for 2026. So let's at least put it to 2027 for the next council to consider. 2027.
Okay, so I'd like to comment on that, please. So question to staff, Jennifer. Sorry to bring you into this. So we had the money set aside for the original park with the sale, and the sale is currently pending based on the CN Rail noise study. But at a finance meeting, if I'm not mistaken, we actually allocated the sale property amounts to that to be funded back into the reserve once the property sale had gone through. Am I correct with that?
To you, Chair, yes, you are correct. However, I'd like to adage in that as we are finalizing design and costs have increased, there is additional costs that will be needed.
So I'm not supporting this. I'm not supporting this because of the fact that the park needs to be put in place before the development project can actually take place. And if that does take place within the next year, we don't have a park for these individuals. So I won't support it. Not seeing any more hands. We'll call the vote.
Point of order, we've lost quorum.
Through the chair, we have 7 members. We have 2 people online.
My apologies, yeah.
The deferral is lost on a tie vote 4-4. Members of council voting in favor, Councilors Hunt, Van Toolborg, Samuel Carpenter. Members opposed, Mayor Davis, Councilors Sullivan, Caputo, and Martin.
Okay, so we're now back to the original and Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to staff, we just heard that the outside boards don't get attributed the assessment growth. I understood from what I read that they got their share of the assessment growth applied to their budget. Can staff comment on that, please?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Martin. So as part of the budget process, we are proportioning the assessment growth based on the budgets of the city services and the local boards. So to compare those apples to apples, where when I said it was 632 for city before growth, 466 after, the combined impacts of the boards before any assessment growth is applied is 9.38 and 7.66 after.
Thank you. It's unfortunate when members of council deliberately try to mislead the public. Through to Parks and Rec staff,
Point of order.
State your point of order, Councillor Carpenter.
Point of order was that Councillor Martin, as he seems to have a habit of doing, he made insulting comments saying that members of council deliberately misinform the public. And I'd ask for an apology for that.
the information's right in the package that the assessment is attributed to.
Point of order.
Councillor Martin,
The chair
the point
has.
of order has been accepted. Can you please issue an apology to Councillor Carpenter?
I'm sorry that Councillor Carpenter did not read the package properly.
I guess that's as good as it can get.
Carry on.
Pretty much, yeah.
Carry on.
Through to Parks and Rec staff. Horticultural staffing resources, you're increasing the number of staff by 2. Could you get by with just 1 for a year and 1 next year?
Through the chair to you, so you're asking about to us to define a staffing resource that we have a significant shortage on, and we've been asked to take on parks. So it's going to be Arrowdale this year, Southwest. We've got a lot of growth, and we've been asked to take on Communities in Bloom and other initiatives. So we're defining a really big shortfall. So this is what we would request. This is what we're saying our need is to get us up to speed, but it will be your call as to what we actually get.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a try. I move that we reduce the staffing increase from 2 to 1 full-time equivalents. Seeking a seconder. Reducing staffing horticulture from 2 to 1. I don't see a seconder, so that was my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hunt?
Sorry. Did that get a seconder or we're back to questions?
We're back to questions, Councillor Hunt. Did not
Thank
get
you.
a seconder.
Okay. Kim, I saw you were up there. I just wanted the Airedale Park development. We've got $250,000 in 2026 and another $500,000 in 2027. Previously approved was 4.7 million. So are we this 250 and 500,000, is that going to finish off the park in order to have it open?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Hunt, my apologies, I stepped in for Kim as that's one of our construction projects. So yes, the intent with those funds is to finish off the park, the archaeological find area, to complete that area, as well as some of the components in and around the multi-use trail.
Okay, so we would be looking at an opening of the park in 2027.
Through the chair to you, Councillor Hunt. So I was just out there today. We are wrapping up to be able to soft open for the winter. And then we would have the grand opening of the park in the spring. So it will be open very shortly for use from the community.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Carpenter, you've already had a speaking opportunity for this. Tonight, there's one speaking opportunity for 5 minutes unless you want to waive the rules. And if you want to waive the rules, find a seconder, please.
No, that's fine. One speaking opportunity.
Mayor Davis, Mayor Davis, you've already had a speaking opportunity.
Well, I want to make a motion to waive the rules.
You have a seconder?
So I'm looking for speaking, so I'm suggesting we do the same.
Councillor Samwell would be your seconder. Let me please take a vote.
Well, I wasn't able to spit out what it is I wanted to do. What I suggest we do is, for this very special council meeting, we use the same rules we use in estimates. Unlimited speaking opportunities, 3 minutes apiece.
Councillor McCreary?
I think that's an excellent idea, except that our rules and procedures specify that an item that's never been before council again has 2. So I would suggest that we limit it to 2. If the mover and seconder would agree to that, probably get 100% acceptance.
No.
Okay, we'll call the vote.
The waiving of the rules is lost on a recorded vote of 6-4. Just to remind members of council, it requires 2/3. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Caputo, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Martin, and Sokoli.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring forward a motion
Go ahead,
to
Councillor
waive the
McCreary.
rules to allow a second speaking opportunity.
Seconded by Councillor Sullivan. We'll take the vote.
The motion to waive the rules for second speaking opportunity carried on a recorded vote of 9-1. Members of council voting in favor: Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillor Carpenter.
Councillor Carpenter, would you like to speak on this again?
Sure. It's unfortunate that the first one didn't pass because when you're dealing with budgets, different questions come up during this discussion. It's unfortunate the members of council chose to restrict debate discussion. But the issue I want to talk about then is the bylaw and security officer. We're creating 2 part-time positions to full-time positions, so we have 3 on a 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. shift. Is that what I'm understanding here?
Through the chair to the councillor, that is correct. Currently, we have 2 officers on from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. and then another group of officers in pairs of 2 from 4 p.m. till 2 a.m.
And this would add, it's 3 for each of those shifts then.
Correct. This will be a complement to our overall staffing. So this will then be able to allow us to transfer the current daytime shift officers that we have to be able to put them onto a platoon of a complement of 3.
Okay, thank you. And into HR specialists, we're looking for one specialist at a cost of $75,000. So that one specialist, is that HR recruitment specialist, what would the role be and why is it needed so now?
There. Brenda Rutherford, Chief Human Resources Officer. Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter. Currently, we have a model with 4 HR business partners. They are responsible for recruitment, job evaluation, labor relations, and other HR matters. They also take care of recruitment. The city has seen significant growth over the last few years, and we are requiring a specialized recruiter who will handle the recruitment, interviews, recruitment strategy for the city of Brantford.
And who does that now?
For human resources business partners.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then finally, in the transit optimization study results, we're hiring 3 individuals there. Is that part of the growth that we've approved with the transit operations? Is that necessary in order for the transit operation expansion that we've got planned?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Carpenter, yes.
Okay, so that expansion wouldn't happen without those individuals?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, and then I'd like to move a motion then seeking a seconder to reduce the human resource specialist and secondly, reduce the increase in bylaw officers as for a savings. And that can be voted on separately if I get a seconder.
Councillor Martin is seconded.
You got it written.
It's a reminder that it requires 2/3 votes. No? Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Councillor McCreary.
Chair, thank you. I'm reminded of last year when Councillor Martin and I endeavored to remove a number of positions by giving direction to the CAO to revisit those choices and perhaps to work his magic. And I don't know that we are any better place to make arbitrary decisions this year than we were last year. So what I would like to do is take what the councillor has said and move to refer that to the CAO for his commentary, and perhaps he can weigh in and tell us which, if any, of the positions specified might be put off a year or 2. So that would be my motion to amend by referring this to the CAO.
Do you have a seconder?
The mayor.
Seconded by Mayor Davis. Any discussion on the referral? Call the vote.
The referral of the amendments carries unanimously and recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
So we're back to the original and Mayor Davis.
They confuse us all the time.
Okay. Yeah, I should have previously raised this, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Sorry, repeat
I'm
that.
talking to you. Yeah, I previously should have raised this as a point of personal privilege because whether intentional or not, the statements made by Councillor Carpenter gave the implication was that I was misleading the public, and I clearly was not. Those percentage figures I gave for both city increase and increases in the various budgets of outside agencies had appropriately and properly allocated assessment growth to each. So the percentages I was giving you were after the allocation of the assessment growth done in a very fair and equitable manner by our staff. So I would ask for Councillor Carpenter to give me an apology for making statements that were misinformed, that gave the impression that I was misleading the public.
Okay, I don't want to,
Mayor Davis, so
I was
noted.
under the impression that they were not taken off of those, and so I apologize if that was the false impression, but I was under the impression they weren't taken off, and I was corrected. Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're doing an awesome job. This question's for Mr. Spicer. Under the job 2377, we got the two-way radio replacement of 175K. I'm just wondering, is this because they've outlived their longevity? Is this because they're no longer technologically sound, or is this just something we're doing because we want to?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes to the two previous and no to the third. It's ancient equipment. The fact that we're also expanding, we need to buy new equipment to go into the buses. That old equipment is just not available. It's not reliable. It's creating all kinds of issues for us. So this will actually modernize our ability to communicate not only for Brantford Transit, but also for Brantford Lift.
Thanks for the clarification.
Councillor Hunt, you had your hand up. Did you still want to speak?
I don't believe so.
Councillor McCreary for a second.
I believe it's the first, isn't it, Mr. Chair? I have an amendment I would like to introduce. And it pertains to the way we receive information from our third-party organizations. And it would be to give direction for the budget preparation that will start in 2026 for 2027. And I will provide the wording to the clerk, although I didn't do it electronically, and I apologize for that. I believe I have a seconder across the table there somewhere. I have Councillor Martin as the seconder. And let me read it to you, Mr. Chair. The amendments are that BPS, GEPH, Brantford Library, and other external agencies receiving funding from City of Brantford will submit their global proposed budget in advance of the date requested to include the following. A, details of all proposed expenses and revenues from all sources showing prior year budgets and actuals, and B, description of other revenue sources and percentage shares of other partners. And by way of explanation, Mr. Chair, what we got this year through no fault of their own was a dog's breakfast of various submissions made from various organizations that did not fit a single template. And I'm suggesting putting this amendment in place for the years starting 2027 budget will give members of this council and those coming back on the next council an opportunity to view those things through the same lens, applying the same critical discussions. Thank you.
I'll just be 2 seconds. I can type 80 words per minute, by the way. I'm almost there.
We'll go to Councillor Carpenter on the amendment.
On the amendment. Yeah. To staff, is this the same criteria that we request from all departments when they're presenting their budgets?
Through the chair, I'm not quite sure I understand the question. So when it comes to the city budgets, yes, there's guidelines that are sent out to the departments every year so that budgets
So
are
would this
committed.
amendment change those guidelines, or is that included in the current guidelines?
I think with the amendment, we would ensure through our communication with our local boards, when we talk about the timing and the form in which they're going to submit their budgets, that we would ask for more specific detail,
Yeah, the question is,
which would be more in line with what we do for the city service.
okay, that's my question. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we saw this year, there was one outside agency that provided actually they provided 2 lines. There was a 3rd line that was added by our staff. So it's hard to make a decision on such little information. You can't tell whether they're spending the money appropriately, whether they're even budgeting properly. So I fully support the amendment that's on the floor. I think it's more important that we get a little more detail than 2 lines from one organization. So it's we don't have a lot to say, but I think we do have the right to say no. But we'll see what happens. But certainly, future councils will need more information than what we got this year.
Not seeing any more speakers, we'll call a vote on the amendment.
The amendment carries on a recorded vote of 8-2. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councilors Sullivan, McCreary, Van Tilburg, Samuel Carpenter, Martin, Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councilors Caputo and Ho.
We're back to the original amendment, and I don't see any speakers. Call the vote. Back on the motion as amended. Councilor McCreary.
Motion as amended gains every speaker 2 more opportunities. Thank you, Chair Caputo. So let me say that Councilor Martin and I will be providing the mayor with a list of suggestions prior to the finalization. And I just want to make it clear that people in the community shouldn't completely blame Kevin, as they have sometimes done in the past, because it is the mayor's budget. But everybody here has an opportunity to weigh in on it, provide suggestions. And as the mayor said earlier, quite frankly, some of this is well beyond our control. So I would suggest that all members of this committee do likewise. Councilor Martin and I will be doing that. And I would suggest there's opportunity to make changes to this. And the mayor's indicated he's quite open to reviewing any changes that are provided to him as suggestions. I do want to comment on a comment that was made earlier, commenting on a comment. It's like second power of commentary. It was mentioned that members of this committee denied the opportunity to other members for further speaking opportunities here. And that's just not the case. And in fact, the author of that comment was the only one that voted against providing a second speaking opportunity. So I think it's important that we remember that and that the public recognize that circumstance as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Not seeing any more speakers. Mayor Davis.
Well, there are 2 more once it's amended. I just want to keep it very short. And as I said previously, want to thank Councilor McCreary for making that suggestion. And it is a serious suggestion to each of you. If you have some ideas or suggestions, please give them to me either verbally or in writing, perhaps by email. And I will look at them seriously and consider it, because as we all know, this budget increase, tax increase of about 8% combined of everyone's is going to be difficult for many members of our community to be able to handle in their family budgeting. So I'm almost pleading with you to give me suggestions, because it's a big budget and you see it from different perspectives. You often receive different input from residents, and so I value it and seek it and hope you'll provide it to me. Thank you.
Call Councilor Hunt.
Sorry. Point of clarification. So we have amended this to refer all new hires to the CAO's office. And I guess I'm looking for clarification as to whether council will see the recommendations from the CAO in advance of the presentation of the mayor's budget, or if that report will go just to the mayor.
So I'm gonna pass this off to you, clerk, if you can just clarify.
Yeah, so through the chair, the referral is given direction to the CAO to put the positions in some sort of priority order. I believe I see the mayor nodding that will be part of his submission in the new year for his budget.
So it will come back to us one more time after the mayor's budget has been presented.
Through the chair, the mayor can speak to that.
Mayor Davis, can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to, because the CEO wasn't able to be here this evening. So what I'd say to, through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Hunt is that, I will speak to Mr. Bradley about this tomorrow morning, and I would ask that he prepare his report as quickly as he reasonably can, and that once it's available, he share it with all elected officials so that we all have it. And obviously, I would then be considering as well when I prepare the mayor's budget.
And through you to the mayor, thank you for that clarification.
Call the vote.
Item 4.1.2 as amended carries and recorded vote of 9-1. Members of council vote in favor. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed. Councillor Carpenter.
We will now move on to 4.2.1. Councilor Van Tilburg.
It was just separated for the vote and discussion. Hey, I think we're all very supportive of this, and we're probably just going to reaffirm that, and that we're all very comfortable with the figures before us.
Not seeing any speakers. I'll call the vote.
Four point 2.1 carries unanimously and recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council vote in favor. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
Okay, moving on to 4.2.2. Councilor Van Tilburg.
Yes, if I could have the clauses separated for a vote, please.
Mr. Clerk, we can get that on the screen. Appreciate it. And discussion, Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, and through you to staff, clause B, the city portion of the Grand Erie Public Health budget be increased by 1% over the 2025 council approved budget. Can staff confirm that we apparently did this exercise last year, but under legislation, we ended up paying the amount that was requested?
Through the chair, are you just looking for clarification, Councillor Hunt? That yes, there was a 1% increase put into the budget, but we did pay in actual dollars the invoices that have been submitted thus far for 2025.
So my understanding from the presentation at the estimates committee was that even though we put the 1% in 2025, the funding that well, at the time, I guess, the health unit received was the amount they requested because of legislation that, like, is that correct?
Yes, I would suggest that that is correct.
Okay, so whether we vote on this 1% or not, and they're likely going to get, because of legislation, exactly what they've asked for.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Thank you.
Counselor Sicoli?
Yes, thank you. Question of staff, and I want to thank Counselor Van Tilburg for asking this to be separated. I was going to do the exact same thing. So if we vote no to the second one regarding Grand Erie Public Health, does it just automatically revert to what was originally asked for? Or would it require an amendment of some sort?
Through the chair, so if B is turned down, then it would revert back to what was in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. So I'm definitely going to be voting no to the second part of this. I think it's a performative gesture, and I'm going to be very careful to what I say because I don't want to have to apologize to anyone tonight, but we all I just don't see any value in stirring the pot in this way when there's, you know, actual human beings on the other end of this that require this service. So I hope that some of the individuals who voted in favor of it the first time might reconsider that notion and move forward and extend an olive branch to this organization and in a show of good faith, vote no to this. Thank you.
Counselor Carpenter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So to our staff, did I hear correctly then that even though we held them to the 1%, we still paid the bills, but did that 1% then reflect in a lower budget, or did the budget actually that went out to the ratepayers actually reflect the actual increase?
Through the chair, for 2025, what was included in the levy was a 1% increase. We will determine at the end of the year, once the final year-end true up with public health is complete, whether that results in contributing to a reduced surplus position for the city overall.
Okay, so that resolution actually did reduce the budget then overall.
Yes, it did.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mayor Davis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd suggested this at that meeting, born out of years of frustration. Frustration, we all feel it, we all know it, we all live it, of the province sometimes in very explicit ways, sometimes in very subtle ways, downloading onto us responsibilities that they bear constitutionally. And in other ways, not living up to their commitment to pay their fair share of programs that we do jointly. We see this in paramedics, we see it here in public health. And there's almost no way we can really deal with it effectively. It's almost, you just got to sit there and take it. In fact, it's worse than that. And since the last meeting, I've done some with staff assistants and looking at, you know, are there any implications? Because what I was advocating is in essence civil disobedience. It's that there's a fine tradition of civil disobedience going back to the Grecian philosophers, and sometimes that's the only way you have of expressing displeasure, as the American colonists did in the Boston Harbor when they threw some tea into the harbor. Unfortunately, when you consider civil disobedience, you have to consider at the same time what the potential penalties may be that the overbearing governmental authority may levy on you. And they can be quite significant when it comes to this particular act. The provincial government has stacked all the cards in their favor. And there in fact is a fairly severe punishment for those that don't comply, including potential daily fines of thousands of dollars. So it was, I believe, a noble attempt at expressing our displeasure, but we always have to deal with, we may all have the noblest of principles at all times, but you got to deal with reality. And the reality is that we have to buckle down and do what we're told to do and directed to do. And we're going to have to accept the budget as presented by the health unit and find some other way to deal with the injustice of the way in which financial arrangements are made between province and cities. But I can't say I hold a lot of optimism for those other avenues either. So I'm going to vote no, just based out of a sense of reality and the political reality of this. So,
Councillor Sullivan?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Question to Joelle. You were mentioning that we end up paying the funds out of the surplus at the end of the year. Could we not, in theory, do the exact same thing this year, put the 1%, and then whatever the excess is, we take it out of the surplus instead of applying it to the levy?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. So if the 2025 actuals exceed the 1% budget increase, it will just reduce the city's overall surplus. Yes.
Well, then I'll be supporting the 1% just for that sole purpose.
Councillor McCreary?
Chair, thank you very much. Well, we don't really have a harbor, and the international trade in tea doesn't pass by our doorstep. So this leaves us but one alternative to say no to the man. And I think there's merit in continuing to do what we did last year, to send that hopefully strong statement to the province of Ontario, who in all other respects is an excellent government, in all respects save one. I think that's an important thing to do. And we just heard the answer to Councillor Sullivan's very insightful question, that we, by simply adopting the 1% again this year, we don't charge the taxpayer. It comes out of what's left over at the end of the year. So I think there's merit in doing it on both those counts. Lord knows we're at almost 8%. And every dollar I think we leave in the taxpayer's pocket helps them pay for their gas and their car payments. And I think every dollar counts. So I would urge everybody to stick with the 1%, and we'll pay it out of surplus like we did last year.
Call the vote.
Through the chair, there was a request for a separated vote, so we'll deal with clause A first. Clause A carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council vote in favor. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Hunt, Manitoba, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
Okay. Now vote on clause B.
Clause B carries on a recorded vote of 6-4. Members of council voting in favor. Councillors Sullivan, McCreary, Samuel, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo. Members opposed, Mayor Davis. Councillors Sokoli, Hunt, and Manitoba.
Okay, there are no resolutions on the agenda for this evening. There are no notices of motion. I will now ask Councillor McCreary to read the motion to approve all bylaws. And since there's only one, please state your seconder.
My seconder is Councillor Martin. You want me to read the bylaw, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
I shall read the bylaw. This is 113-2025, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford with respect to the special City Council meeting just held.
Okay, any discussion? Not seeing any, we'll call the vote. Mayor Davis.
I should bring this to your attention, Mr. Chair. Breaking news on the budget. The proper weighting of the city and the outside board's budgets, it's actually not a total increase 7.9. It's actually, we'll have to ask staff to confirm this. I believe it's 5.69 because the outside agencies proportionally they represent a smaller overall budget than the city. So I think that may in fact lessen the shock value, but regardless, it's still a substantial increase. If staff could just confirm where we're at right now in terms of those percentages, both for city only, including the transit and special investments. And then what happens when you add the outside board and agencies whose overall increase for those agencies together, I believe, is close to 8%.
Yes, so through the chair, I can confirm. So what's being recommended thus far for the city services portion of the budget, inclusive of transit, and after proportionate assessment growth, 4.66%. For the boards, after their proportionate assessment growth, 7.66%. Because the boards represent only about 35% of the overall levy, the weighting result overall for the entire municipal budget impact after assessment growth, it currently 5.69%.
We'll call a vote. Yes.
Bylaw 113/2025 carries on a recorded vote of 8-2. Members of council voting in favor. Councillors Sullivan, McCurry, Hunt, Manitowoc, Samuel, Caputo, Sokomi, Mayor Davis. Members opposed. Councillors Martin and Carpenter.
Well, that will now adjourn our meeting for this evening. We'll take a 30-minute break. Food is here for everyone, and we'll resume for the finance portion of the meeting at 6:07.
It's called intimidation. You look out there and decide, maybe that's me. Yeah, you see people right out front, that's behind them. If they actually, there'd be no questions. Right. You get up the rest of the way.
But I was gonna ask you, the only day off, I can give you other days. I'm in the office, so I'll with my phone. Pick me up at 12, we'll run down, yeah. Okay, perfect. But I can do other dates. No. Change this. No, I haven't sent it.
Welcome. Start the Finance Committee meeting. Clerk, has the roll been taken?
Through the chair, roll has been taken.
Members of the committee, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest for the items appearing on today's agenda? Not seeing any. Members of the committee, are there any items that you wish to have separated for discussion purposes? Note that 5.2.1 and 5.2.2 have been separated as there are presentations. Not seeing any. May I please have a mover and a seconder for all items not separated for discussion purposes? Moved by Councillor Van Tilborg, seconded by Councillor Martin.
The items subject to the vote are item 5.3.1, 2026 property tax policy, 5.3.2, third quarter casino update, 5.3.3, quarterly reserve and reserve fund, 5.3.4, quarterly status report of contracts awarded, 5.3.5, update on capital projects, 5.3.6.1, the minutes from September 10th. The motion carries on a vote of 5-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Van Tilborg, Hunt, and Caputo, and Sullivan.
Thank you.
Lawyer, my name didn't come up on that. Shows me as absent.
We can have that corrected.
Council, that's noted. We will add you in.
Thank you.
All right, we have no delegations. We have two presentations on today's agenda. We'll start with 4.2.1, Julie Baez from Millard's Chartered Professional Accountants. I ask that you come forward to speak to item 5.2.1. You'll have 10 minutes to present. We'll hold questions till it's on the floor.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'm Julie Bates and a partner with Millard's Chartered Professional Accountants and the engagement partner for the audit of the City of Brantford. In the package was our three planning letters, and I'll just give a brief highlight of the three letters. The first one is our independence letter. Our independence letter was dated October 15th, 2015. This confirms that we are not aware of any new or existing relationships that would impede on our professional judgment or professional skepticism throughout the audit. The date is just a range as of the date of the letter. However, we do monitor this throughout the year. We want to make sure there are no relationships with our staff or management and staff of the finance department that would impede on this independence. Our fees, as outlined in the back of the appendix from the prior year, and all services were provided for assurance services, primarily the audit of the main city file. The second letter is our engagement letter. This engagement letter is a formal contract with the City of Brantford for the audit for the year ended December 31st, 2025. This letter outlines our responsibilities as the auditor. It also outlines the responsibilities of management and our expectations. And there at the back of the appendix is an anticipated auditor's report that we hope to report on at the June finance meeting. The rest of the letter outlines the terms and conditions of this contract, and we anticipate that we will issue another clean audit report again for the December 31st, 2025 year end. Both the independence and the engagement letters will be the same as you've received and seen in previous years. The last letter is our audit planning letter. This letter is to ensure an effective two-way communication between ourselves as the auditor and yourselves as the finance committee. It also outlines the responsibilities of the finance committee. We have met with the finance staff at the end of October and have agreed on the proposed timeline. We have set our overall materiality for this engagement at 2% of the prior year revenue, which is $9 million. Materiality is an amount we use as auditors to calculate if we find any differences or discrepancies in cumulative or singly error. If any of these come close to this amount, we will, it would affect the users of the financial statements. Any differences we do find, we do discuss with management, and they're either able to support their position or an adjustment is made. In previous years, all adjustments have been made throughout the audit, and there were no unadjusted differences at the end of the audit last year. So we don't anticipate any changes with that for the current year as well. The interim audit work has commenced. It actually began on Monday this week, and we will continue to work through what we can to get enough work done ahead of time that we are able to before the balance sheet work starts in March. If there's any items that you are aware of as the finance committee that you feel that us as the auditors should be aware of, please feel free to reach out to me directly if you'd like to discuss, or if you ever have any questions throughout the process, we are always willing and able to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be considering this item shortly. I now call Chris Gauthier, City Clerk and Director of Clerk Services. You'll be speaking to item 5.2.2, the departmental review of the clerk services. You will have 10 minutes to present. Questions will be held until the item is on the floor.
Good evening, members of the Finance Committee. My name is Chris Gauthier. I'm the Director of Clerk Services and the City Clerk. I'm pleased to go through our Clerk's Department Service Review with you tonight. So this is what the department organization looks like. We're comprised of 14 members, which span across 3 departments: the Legislative Services Department, Business Licensing, and Records. Our role, we play a very fundamental role in government for the city of Brantford, and we're primarily operate within a statutory framework. The overview of our services. So within the Legislative Services Department, some of our roles: preparation of agenda, minutes, procedural advice to the chair, procedural advice to staff, helping clerk committee meetings, as well as updating corporate policies, bylaws. For records, print, and FOI services, the records department are in charge of ensuring that all records are retained according to the city's retention bylaw. Our print shop issues print jobs through our commercial printer, and then our FOI services, we have an FOI coordinator who processes FOI requests. For the Elections, Licensing, and Administrative Services Department, that department primarily issues lottery licenses, marriage licenses, conducts compliance efforts for lottery licenses and business licenses, as well as we conduct the elections for the city of Brantford. So that department primarily focuses on the administration of the election. Some of the achievements that the clerk's department undertook in past years, there's a lot there. So I just want to highlight on a few that I think are worthwhile to speak to. So last year, we underwent a governance review of city committees and task forces. So from that review, we saw a lot of changes. One of the biggest change is the streamlining of how the city processes appeals. Previously, we had 3 appeal bodies. So through that governance review, we created 1 appeals committee. And through that, we were able to cut back on meetings, streamline staff resources, and make the process a bit easier for members of the public who wish to appeal a bylaw. We also relocated the record center. So we were previously stationed at the airport. We had to move from the airport because there was an economic development opportunity. So we moved from the airport and we moved to the bus transit at Grand River. And within that move, we had to reduce 30% of our records. We streamlined our processes. We reduced our records and reviewed some of our policies to ensure that we're able to operate in a smaller facility. In addition to that, we automated the business licensing process through the use of software. So Before, it was a very labor intensive process where we had to track business licenses through Excel spreadsheets, had to mail out reminders for renewals. We implemented a software system that automated everything. Members of the public who wish to own a business or apply to a business for the city of Brantford are now able to apply online, and everything is standardized and automated through that piece of software. We've heard great feedback from members of the public, as well as working with staff. Some efficiencies. We digitized the submission process for bureau permits and death registrations. We made an online form, which resulted in a significant increase in our resources, and I'll talk a bit more about that in our KPI section. We also implemented a supply store, so we bulk purchase office supplies from distributor, and we offer supplies online through a store to departments. And so that reduces the need. If you need a pen, you don't have to order a whole box. You could just put your order in and buy one pen if you like from the supply store. So we're able to achieve some economies of scale from that standpoint. And we typically only bulk purchase items when they're on sale, which further allows us to save money. We also implemented a digital approval process for municipally significant events. Prior to that, we also asked council to delegate that authority to the municipal clerk. Prior to that, members who wanted an event declared municipally significant, they would have to come to council. Council would have to pass a resolution, have to go to the committee of the whole, to council, and then we'd be able to issue them a letter. But now with the delegated authority to the clerk and with this new automated process for online approvals, it's made the process so much easier for citizens. Some priorities for 2026, our electronic records management system. We need to have a system in place to manage our electronic documents. Enhanced production of council meetings. The election, of course, and next year will be our first year that we're renewing business licenses and cloud permit. So some key performance indicators, you'll see that marriage ceremonies performed have increased quite significantly. We started the program in 2019. We took a break in 2020 because of COVID, but you could see there in the revenues that it has climbed from $10,000 to $42,000 in 2024. We don't say no to people who wish to get married. We typically only do 3 weddings on Fridays, but if there's a 4th or 5th person that wants to get married, we always say yes. We'll just split the work. We have 5 wedding officiants between our department, and we take turns. Our death and our death registration bureau permits has significantly gone up. If you look in the year 2022 to 2023, there was a big jump there. That's because we submitted an online form. So we created an online form, and the funeral home that we do the majority of the business with liked our form so much, and now we're getting their business from other municipalities, St. Catharines, Hamilton, and so that's a simple online form increased our revenues by a significant amount. And FOIs have been increasing, which is a strain on resources. We have one person who's the FOI coordinator / supervisor, and most of their time is issuing FOIs. So we do plan to have a strategic budget investment in the future for FOIs. Some opportunities, expanding the print services so we could expand to potentially some nonprofits to increase our print jobs and our revenues as well. The marriage officiating aspect, there's a recommendation for the report for council or for finance to approve contracted marriage officiants. Essentially, we would be the franchisor and they'd be the franchisees, and they could conduct wedding ceremonies on the weekends, and they would give us a percentage of their revenues. Recommended service improvements. We just had estimates, meaning we have a licensing compliance officer as a strategic budget initiative. You'll see through our KPIs in the report that we had a 30% increase in business licensing as well. We are now licensing the Ubers, Lyfts, which is requiring a bit more work, and we'd like to increase our compliance efforts, be a bit more proactive with businesses that aren't complying with our business licensing bylaw. We feel that this position will help alleviate some of the increased workload associated with those things. That's it.
Thank you. We'll be dealing with this item shortly. I please have a mover and a seconder to place all separated items on the floor. Moved by Councilor Caputo, seconded by Councilor Martin. We'll handle the first one, 5.2. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Call the vote on 5.2. Oh, Mayor Davis.
What's 5.2?
That's the Millard Charter.
Okay, fine.
Go ahead. Okay, call the vote.
Item 5.2.1 carries on a vote of 6-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Van Tilburg, Caputo, Martin, and Hunt.
All right, thank you. Now moving on to 5.2.2, the departmental review of the clerk services. Any speakers? Council Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report shows that licensing went from a revenue to an expense between 25 and 26. Am I reading that correctly?
I can just find out what page.
Yeah, through the chair, what page are you looking at?
That's, I'm trying to find it.
I don't believe we would have the revenue go to the, we do have revenues in the licensing department as well as expenses. There's also in 2022, we would have had the transfer of the election reserve into our operating budget.
Yeah, page 9 of Appendix A. It shows that 2025 is the numbers in brackets indicating a revenue.
Through the chair, I'm just gonna help direct us to the right page here. I believe the page number in the agenda, Chris, is page 52, but it's the licensing business unit 123107. And I believe it's the result of the strategic budget investment that's included in the 2026 budget.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct.
Sorry, because of which?
We're asking for a new position, the business licensing officer, compliance officer, and we're realizing that expense in that budget. So there's slight increase because we're adding an additional staff member.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Davis.
Following up on that is, have you considered, especially in the licensing area where some of what is done is reviewing applications, making sure they comply with various regulations and have the appropriate information, whether AI might have an impact on that? And are there some municipalities right now that are using AI in their clerk's department, licensing department?
Through the chair to Mayor Davis, Jill Binkley, Supervisor of Licensing. Certainly, we have considered that and a lot of other options. We've tried to really lean out our products and services in the way we deliver them. But we're kind of following the lead from the IT group that is reviewing various AI models and policies and procedures. What we are seeing right now is we are reviewing different types of insurance documents. Not all certificates of insurance are the same. Some need a little bit more interpretation than others, so we're not sure that AI is at that point.
think you'd be amazed to know where AI is at this point. But I've raised this previously, and so is it fair to say then, Jill, you see the potential for AI to, I guess, streamline or make more efficient certain practices and procedures?
Through the chair to Mayor Davis, I think the possibilities are likely endless with AI in the future. I don't think we're at a point yet. We haven't investigated from a corporate standpoint. This position in particular is related to compliance. So this would be following up with people who haven't submitted documents and things of that nature, doing site inspections, paying visits to businesses, conducting other inspections with other agencies. So it could be provincial agencies, our bylaw team here, fire, health, and so on.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, and through you to staff. So I'm just looking at percentage increases within the licensing department. So marriage ceremonies performed, we've gone from 41 to 158, which is a 285% increase. But the number that is jumping out for me, and this may give some context to Jill's previous statement, is the number of non-compliance notifications, which has gone from 3 to 94, which is a 3,033% increase. Are those and death registrations, burial permits going up by 198%? So I just want to understand that the request for the budget investment for another staff member in the licensing department is to address the fact that virtually every service within that department is seeing, well, double, if not triple, if not quadruple percent increases. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Hunt, yes. This position would be compliance-based again. So there's certain areas of focus with our business licensing chapters. They also reconcile lottery reports. So it is a multifaceted compliance position. We do have a staff complement currently of 1. And we have been trying, like I said, to lean out processes. We've automated, as Mayor Davis said, investigated other opportunities. And certainly we always look to leverage things like that. But we knew bringing on some of the new licensing schedules, it's kind of added to this staff person of 1. It's added to their workload. And, we're at a point where we really are looking to get more assistance in that area.
Right. Thanks for that.
Not seeing any other discussion, we'll call the vote on the item. Item 5.2.2 carries on a vote of 6-0. All those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Sullivan, Van Tilburg, Caputo, Martin, and Hunt. Thank you. There are no resolutions, no notices of motion. Finance Committee is adjourned.